Maybe it's true. The dumbest things are actually the best things. Oh my God, this is awesome. Yes. Oh.
The idea of the press launch isn't new. You ship your cars and your journalists to a gorgeous location where the drive can be memorably idyllic, the photographs exotic, and the food and drink exceptional. You want local, but not too local. Mint tea local, not botulism local. Welcome to Eritrea, a city of just under 100,000 people, an equidistant 4 hours drive from all three of Morocco's major hubs. We've touched down at the end of a 48-hour journey, and we've been welcomed with tea and baked goods and one of the coolest factory production cars of all time, the new Porsche 911 Dakar. They wanted to use the name Safari, but it was actually taken by Tata of all people. There is nowhere more appropriate for the Dakar than right here, the gateway to the Sahara Desert, in a place that was part of the actual Dakar rally route 15 years ago. In this video, I'll show you why Porsche has gotten this concept as close to perfect as I've ever seen, as well as why the Dakar is the perfect press launch vehicle, and why I seem like the perfect customer for one.
Oh my God, can't see a thing.
But I'm not.
Hey folks, today's video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN, and there are so many reasons that you would want to use Surfshark VPN, one of which I'm actually using right now while in Morocco filming the 911 Dakar. We all know by now that your internet service provider tracks everything you do online. They know where you are, they know where you're asking directions for. If you buy a pair of shoes on your web browser, you get an ad for it later on your Instagram. Mailing lists, cookies, you name it, your ISP knows it about you. A VPN like Surfshark hides all that. It masks your identity online, keeping your private business yours. Now, most of the time, your ISP tracking you is like an inconvenience, like my shopping example. But let's say it's more of a security thing, like you want freedom on the internet in a country that doesn't necessarily have freedom on the internet. You see what I'm saying? A VPN will trick your service provider into thinking you're somewhere else, opening up the internet to you and keeping your private things private while browsing. I use Surfshark VPN for other stuff too. Like, let's say I'm here in Morocco and I wanted to check in on the security cameras at my house or my shop. To do that, those systems need to think I'm on site. So I use Surfshark VPN to set my location there. That way my internet here will behave exactly as if I was on location, allowing me to check in on my security at my home and on my employees at the shop. Once you start using Surfshark, your whole internet experience changes, and you can check it out now. Surfshark is giving you 83% off and 3 months free by hitting the link in the video description and using code TheSmokingTire. It's that easy, you'll never go back. And thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring today's 911 Dakar video from Morocco.
To turn a standard 911 GTS into a Dakar is, as one might describe, a perfectly cooked reverse-seared ribeye. Simple, but not easy. All 2,500 911 Dakars will start as PDK-equipped GTS 4 coupes, a car I described last year as the fastest Porsche road car you will ever find a practical use for. The turbocharged engine makes 473 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque, and its only modification for the Dakar is a reinforced air filter, for all the sand.
I can't see anything.
Thanks to clever uses of technology and math, even though the Dakar has big, meaty all-terrain tires and metal skid plates underneath it for protection, it only weighs 10 kilograms more than the GTS on which it's based. The heavy stuff on the bottom is offset by very light stuff on the top, such as a carbon bonnet from the GT3, lightweight glass, and carbon bucket seats. The weight distribution means it probably won't barrel roll down a dune like a big turbo Nissan Patrol. As the former owner of a Safari 911, an air-cooled G-body Porsche modified for loose surface fun, I have some experience with the concept of the Porsche rally car, mainly that it is very, very good. The formula, whether building an old car or a brand new one, is pretty straightforward. Lift it, add grip, and protect things.
The thing is, Porsche haven't just lifted a 911. You know, you could lift a 911 in the aftermarket and have a car that looks like this, but when Porsche does a project like the Dakar, it's about the total package. So they've changed the cooling, they've changed the front and rear bumpers to optimize the departure angle, they've built skid plates, they've built a lift system for all four wheels that is based on the nose lifting system, so it's hydraulic but it can raise to the full height in just 9 seconds. They've integrated the PASM, the torque vectoring, the brake vectoring, the gearbox, the steering, all in a way that is optimized for this setup and these tires. Now, I'm not saying those things couldn't be done in the aftermarket. They probably could, but it would be a lot more annoying, a lot more expensive, and take a lot more time than just buying the Dakar from the factory. And in that way, it's actually quite a good value.
With a home-built Safari car, there will be compromises. Manual steering wasn't meant to move heavy off-road tires. An aggressive differential can clunk when parking or making tight turns, and my strong clutch was a heavy one. Then there's the long travel shocks, which can make an agile sports car feel lazy and imprecise on the tarmac. But in today's world, technology solves that problem. Optimizing all aspects of the car for the Pirelli all-terrain tires, Porsche recalibrated the electric steering, so it still feels normal and precise on the road. And of course, the adaptive shocks, despite their extra length, offer fantastic body control even on tarmac. The result is a car that, fitted with these off-road tires, will run the same time around the Nurburgring as a 996 GT3. Then you turn off the road and it can do this.
Oh my God, this rules. What a world when the off-road vehicles and the SUVs are turning into supercars and the supercars are turning into off-roaders. It is incredible. Sahara Desert, base of a massive dune, Morocco, deep sand, 911. Oh, big slide, big rooster tail. You know, what's really interesting about driving sports cars on loose surfaces is if they have good dynamics on the tarmac, they will typically also have good dynamics on the loose surface. And that is true for the 911. Just because it's taller and just because it has off-road tires, you can still transfer the weight brilliantly. You can still get the power down with the all-wheel drive and the rear engine configuration. And the positive effects of rear steer, which are good on the tarmac, are fantastic in the loose stuff. It really lets you rotate that car on power, and it eliminates a lot of the negative effects of the all-wheel drive system. And there are some negative effects of the all-wheel drive. If you want to rotate the back around, the all-wheel drive actually does take away some of that. And that is where the rear steer really comes in handy. Ah, what's... Yes! The all-wheel drive is programmed so brilliantly that it behaves just like a rear drive car when you want it to, and then it behaves like an all-wheel drive car when you need it to. You know, it doesn't look like much. Porsche showed that portal axle special that Romain Dumas was driving, and then this, and it seemed like a step backwards. but this is shockingly capable. The full skid plates keep you from bottoming out. The long travel shocks have a really, really exceptional amount of ground clearance, the same as a Cayenne. The breakover angle is the same as a Cayenne. Oh, Habibi. Oh, Habibi. The dunes. They've recalibrated the steering, but it's still massively sharp and responsive, and it's great when it comes time to counter steer. Power! Oh, the turbo's still making that great sound. Why would you want an off-road 911? After doing this, why wouldn't you want an off-road 911? The desert is one of the last places on Earth without real rules. The 911 has so surpassed what is legal, morally acceptable, and even possible on the street. You can't just send it on the street in a 911, but in the desert, massive slides, massive rooster's tails, massive, oh my God, this is awesome. Oh my God, this is awesome. Yes. Oh, oh, I am Walter Roll. Weight transfer. Oh, yes. This is the shit. You really learn when you're out here in the sand and it's the loosest possible surface just how good the dynamics are of a 911 because it's so intuitive. You know, the learning curve is like nothing. Oh, Habibi! Sick. Woo! Over crest, can't see. Wow. Wow. Oh, Habibi. Oh, left over crest. Reverse entry. This is the dopest shit ever. In case you're wondering, what is worth flying 2 days to get to a press launch each way? This. Right there, that was the bump stop. It makes a noise, but it's not bad. It's okay. Oh, plant. Surf the wave up the side. That was the Kelly Slater right there. It is amazing that something that so many people think is stupid, and even I think it's a little stupid, is actually the best thing ever.
For literal years, we've been complaining about the fact that exotic sports cars are now all so fast that exploring their limits is outright dangerous to the average enthusiast. No more. The Dakar, in a setting where it's totally legal, will move around in the most fantastic of ways.
You know, I might not have what it takes to drive a GT3 RS so far beyond the limit when the consequences are a wall. You know, a totaling of the car. But to come out on a loose surface, sand or snow or gravel, and just fling this thing around, I mean, that's when you really appreciate a Porsche. You can appreciate a Porsche at low speeds. The build quality and the heritage and the feel of the engine, you don't have to be going fast to get that. But when you get to go over the limit in a 911, it's magic. Magic. And that's what the Dakar is for. It's for going over the limit safely, all seasons, all the time. And in that way, it might be the perfect sports car.
The rally driving mode helps you step the back out, but can also perform sub 4-second 0 to 60 runs on gravel. The weight distribution keeps those rear tires gripping when you need it, and the torque curve, like a dining room table, means you can smash the throttle even at low RPM and dig your way out of the sand like a boss. All I needed with this car was 6 minutes and a sand dune, and I was waiting for the first sign of cell service to call my dealer and ask about allocations. It is truly and honestly that much fun. It took me over 2 days to get here. It will take me 2 days to get home, and in just a few minutes with one of these on the sand, I learned it was worth it. And if you can afford one, it's certainly worth the $225,000 plus options that they want for it. But then I changed my mind. I thought about my own safari car and my Ford Raptor before that. Because even though the Dakar is very nice on the road and would make a good daily driver in the city, I'm not going to make the time to go out to the desert and beat up my own car. I'm not going to be the guy who can treat a $250,000 car like it's disposable, as customers of this car absolutely should. Hell, you should have to apply to buy one of these and prove you are going to rip it mercilessly up dirt, snow, and gravel every chance you get. And for the 10 or 15% of Dakar owners who take the time and burn the cash doing exactly that, you have my utmost respect. But we all know most owners won't. They will flip them, not roll them. They will park them, not send them. They will show them, not throw them. And that's all right. But like Bob Dylan said, it ain't me, babe. I may have only gotten one night in Morocco and 2 chances to really huck the Dakar around a dune as hard as I wanted, and it took so long to get here that I can't possibly make any money on this gig. But it was worth it. The perfect press launch. A sick yurt, some mint tea, and a chance to drive a car as hard as possible in a perfect, unrepeatable setting without being remotely responsible for that car in the long term. And that's where I have to leave it.
And remember, always fight your tickets. Use code TST10 on the Off the Record app available in the Android and iOS store, or go to offtherecord.com/TST.